With the arrival of the new mixer, we also needed to get some new audio cables, and here I'm just showing how we're making up a splitter cable that goes from a 3.5mm, what people call a stereo jack input commonly. Better name for it is a TRS 3.5mm, and that splits out into two what people probably call guitar jacks or microphone jacks, I think, but they're two TS cables. So you're basically going from one plug at one end to two larger ones at the other end. It's a relatively common cable, but they're reasonably expensive to buy as well because they're a pain in the neck to make up. But this time we're just getting one that's the length that we got and does all the sorts of things that we need. So here I'm starting at the 3.5mm end, so it's really a bit tricky, as I said before, because you've got to get all of those cables going down into that really small plug, and you don't have a lot of room to work around, and you get some heat on the cables themselves and they melt and short circuit each other. So here we are, I'm just double checking with the meter that we've got everything where we're supposed to go. We're working on the far end now where the two 6.5mm are going to go, so we pulled out a lot of cable so that we can split them out. We're splitting the shield out there so that we get some going in two directions. Have to put some heat shrink on all of that as well because we've opened it right up. I don't like having the splits any more than we actually need to, probably get away with it, but I still prefer just to put the absolute minimum in there. So just putting a larger heat shrink on to begin with, that'll be the last thing that we end up doing. That goes over the whole lot. Now we're getting a smaller diameter heat shrink over the two sets of tails that are going to go onto each of the 6.5mm cables. So the cable that we're using is your 2-core plus shield, so that's where we get the two signals from, and that's exactly what we need for this because the mixer doesn't understand those your 3.5mm stereo sockets, and with good reason too, because they're prone to noise and all sorts of things. And you'll see when we get to testing it in the mixer itself, we have to put in something called a DI that converts between the two types of signals so it will work properly. Putting the back shell on, now we're just starting to heat up the solder to go onto the cable and joining everything together, tinning the cables and getting them all right so that when we heat up the plug, just goes straight in. And now that we got that in, just doing another check to make sure that we've got things exactly the way we were. If you saw the bits that didn't make it to the edit, you see that we did have to make a few fixes, shall we say. Anyway, but there's the cable, got the heat shrink on the two tails. Now we're putting the larger heat shrink in just to stop it all splitting. And it's time to throw it over onto the mixer and see where we go. My hand, I've got some barrel DIs, so you can go straight into the XLR or microphone sockets that most people will call it, and I can plug into the other end of them those large 6.5mm sockets. There they go right now. That white cable there, that's just an adapter to go from the phone into the 6.5mm, which has got just some elevated music going so that we offend everybody equally, but we've got something that we can just make sure that they are doing what we expect them to do. One of the biggest things we get with these cables is having background noise with nothing going. So I can see over on the channels over on the screen there that there are no things bouncing up and down. Saw a bit of a noise there with the connection being made. We wait for it, and No, you just can't quite hear it in there. Is it coming? Yep, there it comes. You can hear the elevator music now. So that's all working perfectly. You can hear the music, you can't hear anything else. That's pretty much what we want. So mission accomplished. Just double check it all and then we'll shut it down and throw the whole lot in the road case, because that is something that we'll use on nearly every gig that we go to. So job done.